Welcome to the committee. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Samuel, S-A-M-U-E-L, Rahamim, R-A-H-A-M-I-M. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Nothing prepares you to hear the news that your father has been murdered with a gun. On September 27th, 2012, I was taking a bus by myself to go visit a friend in future school, University of Wisconsin-Madison. My mom dropped me off at the bus at roughly 4 p.m. that day. About 30 minutes later, I saw an early report of a shooting in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood of Minneapolis, where my father had built his business, Accent Signage. My father was an immigrant living the American dream, extremely proud that all of his products and materials were produced in the USA. He created dozens of jobs over the years, invented a system of Braille that made it easier for blind people to read, and exported products all over the world, including, as he loved to tell people, China. I sent a text message to my dad that day telling him that I heard that there had been a shooting in the Bryn Mawr area and to stay away and be careful. Of course, what I did not know at the time was that this text to my dad would go unanswered because just shortly before, he had been shot twice in the head at the company he had built. This is something I will go to bed knowing every night and wake up knowing every day. The final 4 hours of that bus ride felt closer to 40 hours as every possible scenario went through my head. I've described it as a hyper-localized version of 9/11 where you feel like you're under attack, yet there is so much chaos and confusion that you cannot even begin to fathom what is going on. Harsh reality soon set in, and there still isn't 10 minutes where I don't think about the terror brought upon myself, my family, Accent Signage, and the local community. The gunman killed 6 fathers that day, all of them leaving behind a total of 15 children far too soon. The key factor about the gun violence legislation introduced in this legislative session is this: it will save lives. The gun used to kill my father and 5 other fathers that day had a capacity of 15 rounds. A law limiting a capacity to 10 rounds might have saved lives. The private sale loophole undermines the background check system by allowing millions of gun buyers to avoid checks by simply obtaining their guns from private sellers. According to the most recent national survey, an estimated 40% of U.S. gun sales are conducted between private citizens with no federal requirement that the buyer first pass a background check. Few states track private sales, but recent data suggests that these unregulated purchases are becoming more common. For example, Michigan State Police stated that 48% of state handgun purchases are conducted privately, which amounts to more than 50,000 private party handgun sales in Michigan each year alone. Criminals exploit the private sale loophole to obtain guns. A national survey of inmates found that nearly 80% of those who used a handgun in a crime acquired it in a private transaction. And secondly, the Internet has made a vast marketplace for guns where millions of buyers and sellers can easily identify one another and conduct firearm transactions in almost total anonymity. While legislation cannot prevent every gun death, it has a moral obligation to attempt to save as many lives as possible. I want my story told so that other families will not have to go through the devastation that mine has experienced. My dad lived the American dream, but died the American nightmare. Gun violence kills 33 Americans every day, and more than 12,000 Americans will lose their lives to gun violence over the next year if no action is taken place to stop the gun violence epidemic. Many of these gun deaths are preventable, but under the current policies, the United States has the highest per capita rate of firearm-related murders of all developed countries. We can do better than that.
Chair, I think we have one more testifier and then we're done.